original. And I'm in love with the money.
Thank you for joining. We are going to be talking today about being calm and clear, especially when it comes to making financial decisions. So with me, I have Irismar Lawrence. She is a wellness and life coach, and I'll give her about 30 seconds to tell us more about herself.
Thank you very much for having me. I help individuals actually embrace their fullest potential and be their future self now. So I'm the compass that helps you navigate there and eliminate those limiting beliefs. That's
awesome.
What I can do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I know that is definitely needed today, especially we need help keeping ourselves centered and focused and getting to where we want to go, especially when we look around us and we hear news of wars, high inflation, unemployment, high interest rates, people going bankrupt. We do know that we need that help. And you mentioned clarity and calm and being focused, right? And I know from me personally, sometimes when I hear the word mindfulness, I'm not quite sure what it means. What do you say mindfulness is?
Mindfulness, the quickest way to describe it is a place of awareness and self-awareness. And the more awareness that you have, then you can really are in a better position to control your emotions, what are your reactions, and even think objectively or methodically. So that's what mindfulness is, bringing a level of awareness that you may not have had prior. And there are no things that puts you there.
Okay, so it's more like increasing your awareness as to how you're thinking, what your thoughts are, your emotional state, right? And I also hear the word present, being present. What does that? Is that the same thing?
They're connected. Being present is focusing on the present moment and the now. I think a lot of the times we get caught up into the what ifs, should haves, or could haves. And in some scenarios for planning, that is critical, right? Because that's planning your contingencies, understanding what are the exit strategies in an investment or so forth. But being present is focusing on the now. And I say that the easiest way to practice is if it is a challenging situation that is happening, take a deep breath, ground yourself, and look at it objectively. What was happening, or what were the steps leading to it? What exactly has happened? And then objectively look at this is what's happened now, what is within my control, and take action from there. Yes, we need to acknowledge the emotions that the body goes through, the worry, the anxiousness and everything, but just taking that moment to really become aware of yourself and calm, bring yourself into the present moment in a state of calm will really help make those decisions and being present. So present is being in the now, not worrying about the future, not worrying about the past, this moment, this second.
That's true. I like that definition because sometimes we're stuck thinking about what happened in the past and we're living there, and or we're worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow and we're living there, right? But we should be making decisions based on our no, right? Because we can't change the past and we can't predict the future. So to look either ways is kind of a waste of time. Right?
Yes and no, because you also have to honor your emotions, right? As a wellness and life, we all go through that cycle. Sometimes it's the shock, then it's the fear, then it's the sadness, then it's the anger. We have to actually process those emotions, but it's being able to bring yourself back into the moment that, okay, I went through that process. Now let me look at it objectively. And from that, you can make actions or take actions that are better equipped for yourself versus reactive.
Yeah. And I guess part of being present is understanding where you are in that cycle, right?
Yeah. And being present too is almost like you get caught up into the day to day. So for example, we're getting into a position where kids are going back to school right now. So people say, oh my God, getting anxious, got to finalize this and etc. That are situations that are happening in a sequence, but you already know that they're needed. So let's not intensify the anguish and the stress of what it needs to be done. because it's only so much that you can do today and then you can do tomorrow,
Okay,
right?
so let's get into the meat. Okay, so let's get into the meat of the matter. How our thinking, how our mindfulness impacts our decision making, and by extension, our finances, right? So tell us, how does it impact?
It all starts with the mindset. So you need to kind of take a little bit of a self-reflection and understand if you're coming from a place of scarcity, of a place of abundance. And sometimes it's a precondition. So for example, humble beginnings, I knew that we did not have enough. That tomorrow we didn't know how it was going to happen. So that was a part of me that I had to learn to redirect and share from that growth and that perspective. So I needed to change my internal narrative. That is the step one. Step two is looking at what are the facts, how it compares to your situation right this second, right now, and then establish a plan that is going to support your current circumstances. Because we know what the future is going to be, but I'm making a decision that is going to help me right this second, and the compounding of it will lead me to that goal.
Okay, so scarcity versus abundance. And I can definitely understand how that kind of an attitude or outlook will impact your decision making, right? If you're in an abundance type of mindset, you'll be looking out for opportunities and taking advantage of them, right? And similarly, positive versus negative. Positive people tend to think about the long term. Negative people, I think, say, woe is me, it makes no sense to do anything, right? So I guess that's how it all
It is,
plays
but
out.
it's aware. It's being aware of the thoughts, right? So our thoughts and words are very powerful, but you control them. So why not change that narrative to make it positive? And if
Okay,
you
so
keep
we can control it and change it.
yes, 100%. Contrary to like, oh my God, you can, teach an old dog new tricks. We can retrain our brains. It just takes consistency. And that consistency is perhaps through affirmations. If I never felt that, oh, I am abundance or I attract opportunities where I can showcase my talent, then that becomes an affirmation that you incorporate in your day-to-day practice. So you can redirect your thoughts because you are in control. Your thoughts are not controlled by anyone but you. So why not
Okay.
make it positive?
Yeah, I believe that completely because our thoughts control how we behave, right? It controls our outlook, and we can retrain that. I appreciate that. And thanks for mentioning. So, right now, in our daily lives, we are thinking about kids, the what if I get sick? What if I pass? The bills that constantly come, we have to manage those as well. Debt, we retirement, and all of these can be stressors, right? And what do you think are the underlying stressors that impact our mindfulness, and how can we handle these?
One, not sitting to yourself, not sitting with yourself and having that moment of self-reflection. Because one of the things that I can give you as an exercise for everyone watching to do is reflect back in your circumstances right now to the circumstances of how they were a year prior or your upbringing. And you might be able to identify that some of the thinking and relationship that you have about money or worries, they were inheritance. So they're conditions. But if you're looking at it from the facts today, you're like, oh no, I'm actually in a better position. So it's always seeing how can I bring myself to the now and approach it from that situation. So I've said it's that underline of maybe limiting beliefs or not having that great level of self-awareness, but it doesn't mean that you cannot start today.
Okay. So I think, for example, when I'm making decisions, I sometimes want to think, what is the main driver behind my decision? Am I operating from fear, right? A fear of a negative potential outcome, or am I being hasty because I'm just overwhelmed by my circumstances, right? So I know that, as you said, being present and mindful, being aware of what is actually driving your decision making is very important, and that can definitely impact the quality of our decisions.
Yes, 100%. And people
So
should kind
you,
of back to that, bring it back to that. Am I making a decision in a heist? So it is a reaction, or have I taken time to really analyze it? And one thing to
okay.
that kind of wrap it on that particular question is we can prepare as much as we want, and that is great because we're planning for plan A, B, and C in case something happens. But we cannot overly worry, and most importantly, we have to let go of the outcome because we can influence it, but we cannot predict the future.
That would be a hard one for me. Let go of the outcome. What do you mean by that? Do you mean that we shouldn't have goals
No,
or
no. We need to have goals, and we actually, performance goals, relationship goals. We need to have them. We need to have a driver that moves us forward. But we cannot get so caught up into that final destination and forget about the journey because the destination will be there. But we might have many detours along the way in order to get there. That's part of life, that's part of growth, and hopefully part of becoming the best version of you. So that's what I'm saying. Like, have the goal, but letting go of like that, oh, I gotta achieve that. No, you gotta enjoy the journey. And life is gonna throw you those curveballs. So how are you gonna react when that comes? Because the path is not linear. Sometimes it is, and we're very blessed and lucky, but sometimes we aren't. So are you prepared to handle those obstacles when they come? So
okay?
that's
So
what
now I
we need.
get it. So focus on the journey, be in the present where you are now, but it doesn't mean that you're not working and moving towards something, right? But
That's right.
avoid the anxiety of the expectation of it, right? Like the haste to get
That's right.
there.
That's right.
All right. So, from my perspective, as I like to think of myself, I offer money coaching somewhat, right? I like how I think people can stay calm is also knowing where they are, just like you said, being present, but more understanding how you treat money, right? Know what your habits are, know what your impulses are when it comes to spending. And a good way to do that is to look back, maybe review like 3 months details so you understand who you are and how you spend, right? And that
Right.
is part in my mind of being present. And
Yeah.
then having that purpose, that goal, right? You can purposefully guide your spending. And that might be using a budget or maybe just being conscious, right? Evaluating each spending decision based on what your goals are.
Yeah, 100%. And your circumstances, right? Because we
Mhm.
both could have a goal of saving for an emergency fund, but how much we allocate to that will depend on our circumstances. And as much
Mhm.
as we all would like to call it, say, oh, I want to have an emergency fund that is over 50%, what is exactly that I can contribute right now, especially if I get my paycheck every 2 weeks? Look at that
Mhm.
objectively and don't compare yourself to others. What suits
Mhm.
your circumstances right now? And you having that awareness, then it's going to propel you. And those actions would eventually compound and help you achieve that goal faster.
Yeah. And when you say actions, right? Compounding actions, this means that we have to be consistent. Even in regardless of our circumstances, we need to be consistent, especially when it comes to taking action towards our goals. Once we've decided that this is what we're going to do, we should just do it, right?
Yeah,
Try
you
our best
just
to be
apply
consistent.
to your best of your availability, but keeping
Mhm.
consistent. So, for example, something happened, and this particular week you were super tight and you couldn't put that $5 aside that you wanted for that emergency fund. That is okay. That will be a priority for your next paycheck. Or perhaps it could be that, oh, you know what? I might skip my coffee cup, my coffee joe in the morning, probably 3 days, and I'll have that equivalent safe. So is
Yeah.
what suits your circumstances and having the practicality that your actions are in alignment with the goal or that vision that you set for yourself. And having that level of awareness is what is going to influence the decisions that you're making. Even that little change, right? Like, you know, I have to pay all my bills and etc. I didn't have enough, but then, oh, I might make my own coffee at home and take it with me versus stopping by.
Yeah. And those are some of the decisions we need to make, right? We might have to make short term sacrifices in order to achieve our long term goals. But I also believe, too, that having certain safeguards in place kind of actually gives you the confidence to move forward because you've already taken care of the fear of the what ifs, right? And that's how I feel too. Like insurance offerings help, right? It kind of gives you that confidence because you know if this happens, this will be the outcome. If I get sick and can't work anymore, I have this lump sum coming to me to help with my bills. Or if I get disabled, I know I'll get this monthly substitution of income. And that kind of provides you with a certain positive outlook towards the future and a confidence to move forward because you've taken care of those what ifs. So they're no longer a fear or a worry. So
Yeah.
we need to.
What I would say in that one is, I wouldn't necessarily call them what ifs. I love that
Mhm,
you use that component to relate, but in this
mhm,
case, it's not a worry. It's about
mhm,
actively planning and setting
mhm,
contingencies in place. Should this happen, then I might
mhm,
have a reserve fund. Should that happen, I might do this. If it's not,
mhm,
at looking back at the end of the year, then if it was a saving component, then all those can go into the emergency fund because they didn't
mhm,
need to be repurposed or used somewhere else.
mhm.
It's
Yeah.
having that awareness, but bringing it back to what's practical,
Mhm.
how you making those decisions because it's
Yeah.
contingency planning and doing due diligence as well.
e-
So that's no worry,
Exactly.
just looking at it factually, right? What is it that could happen without having the emotion and the stress coming up? And then how could I plan for that?
It's actually strategic, right?
It's a strategic planning, yes.
Exactly. So, and another way from my perspective that I choose to approach my challenges to alleviate fear so I can be calm and collected, is just break it down, right? Break it down into smaller steps or smaller targets that seem less overwhelming.
100%. It's removing the overwhelmed, it's matching to your current circumstances. And of course, I will not be forgetting if I don't mention it as a wellness and life coach is practicing also a little bit of self compassion. Life is going to throw us curveballs and unexpected situations that we need to, in a way, react and
Mm-hmm.
respond. Not react, respond. But let's
Mm-hmm.
ensure that we're taking the moment to pause, respond appropriately with what our circumstances is, and then following up, they continue the journey either this afternoon or tomorrow morning as if nothing happened. So that means your trajectory doesn't change because you got an interruption, right? So if I
Yes.
have a plan in place, I keep moving forward.
I like that you said that because life does throw us curveballs. Even when we're being mindful and present, it doesn't mean that all our decisions will produce the outcome that we initially desired, right? We'll make wrong choices in life, things will go bad, but it's how we respond to it, right? The lessons that we take from those experiences.
And that's the key, going back and reflecting and seeing those lessons. Now, if it becomes a habit that, is now a pattern in my structure, then there's already a conditioning. Then it's almost like I am sabotaging myself. But if I'm coming from
Mhm.
an awareness of what are my patterns, what is it that I need to change, and I stick to that, but being compassionate in the sense that when we're changing a behavior, that is something that we had without even knowing for over 20 years. It will take time to transition. So it's just remember, forget that it happened, forget that you stopped or you didn't do the affirmations or you didn't practice mindfulness. Go back in your routine the following day. Just don't use it
Right.
as an excuse to fall off the wagon. Even the same with savings, right? Just continue day after day. Keep consistent.
Be consistent. So far, the takeaways being mindful means to be aware of basically who you are and how you think, right? What your story is.
Yeah. And being present in the moment. All we
Being,
have is the now. And those that know me will hear me saying time after time again, the past is gone and we cannot change it. The future hasn't even arrived, so it would always continue to be a mystery. What I have is the now. So, what are the actions that I'm taking now? Are they in alignment with my goals? Are they in alignment with my well being? Am I feeling fulfilled? And when I say well being, it's all aspects of our lives because we don't focus just on financing or the physical and health. We focus on, relationship and entertainment and soul searching and mind and body connection. All of that is you. You are a person, you are a human being, right? So, it's how do you nurture your entire self, your whole self in the now? Because that's all we have Tomorrow
Yeah.
we could plan it, but we don't know until it actually comes, right? So
Yeah.
are you going to live your day today to the fullest? And are you going to be
Yes.
intentional?
And I love the alignment with goals because, especially with our finances, when we have our goals, we need to ensure that our actions are in alignment. And that's the way that we can avoid overspending or making investment decisions that are out of alignment, right? And also, we want to be able to know what our triggers are. Because for me, I need to know what my triggers are when it comes to spending, right? Emotions like being sad or being afraid or feeling alone can cause us to do certain things, whether it's overeating or overspending, right? So that awareness definitely helps.
Yeah.
So
And you can ask yourself on that note, you can ask yourself, is what I'm about to do or spend or buy, is it gonna get me closer to my goal? Or is it gonna be in alignment with my vision? And slowly asking yourself those questions, you increase your level of awareness.
awesome. The questioning. And again, that too can help with your finances because you're kind of setting up rules for yourself, some evaluation criteria when making financial decisions. For example, if you're going to buy that lovely dress that you'll probably buy and put it in your closet and never wear it, you can ask yourself certain questions. Am I going to use this in 3 months? Where am I planning to wear it? And if you can't really come up with something, guess what? Leave it where it is. So having those rules that help you to evaluate those questions that you ask yourself when making a spending decision can be very helpful. And just as we're about to wrap up, if you want, you could maybe give like a summary of some quick tips that people can use even in their daily routine to ensure that they're present, they're mindful, so that they can cultivate that habit.
Thank you for the opportunity. It has been a great discussion. And if anyone needs additional tip or practices, feel free to reach out anytime. But one, practice mindfulness by practicing even simple breathing to bring you to the present moment. It could be as simple as inhaling for a count of 4, holding for a count of 4, and exhaling for a count of 4. Even just that simple breathing will bring you present and ground you. So you can now be from a better position to react or act. 2, changing the narrative of the negative thoughts and limiting beliefs, replace them. Write your own affirmation. I am abundant and I attract opportunity, or I am grateful for the abundance in my life. The fact that we wake up every day, that is something to be grateful for. So even if you struggle with one, find an affirmation that resonates with you. You can even search it out there in the web and find what resonates with you. If you are not able to come up with your own, and start practicing the affirmations, because the narrative that you have been telling yourself needs to change. And in order to get to that future that is different of my present situation today, I personally need to make changes. So that's where that awareness comes from. And the more that you nurture and the more aware you become, the better you will be able to prepare yourself and start being your future self now.
Awesome. I love them. I love them. And they basically align with what I would say would be your financial practices too, right? Like writing down your goals, have focus on the outcome that you want, as you said, right? And I love celebrating the wins because I feel celebrating the wins, I'll add that one in. It helps you build that confidence in your own self, right? So going forward, you feel even better able to make these good quality decisions, right? Taking the
100%.
lessons, taking the lessons from the outcomes that weren't that great, that weren't necessarily what you hoped for, and always seek education. As Irismar said, if you need more help, seek her out, right? Get that coach, get that mentor, get that guide that can help you through your journey. Get educated, read books. All of those things can help you with achieving these goals, creating that mindfulness and that right outlook and attitude towards your finances, and that will help you also in your life decisions. So, Irismar, I know that your information is scrolling across the screen. tell them how they can reach you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, you can certainly reach me through my website, Your Future You Now, or you can contact me directly at wellness at irismar.ca. This will be the two main means, and the phone number is 416-543-4133. Feel
And
free
as
to reach.
always, And as always, I'm here for you too. Reach out in my DMs, reach out on Instagram. My information is scrolling across the screen as well. info@moneymattersca.com, 647-951-6905. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you took notes and you have practices that you can implement in your life today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.